help me welcome Governor Howard Dean.
Herman, thank you very much for those kind words. I am going to not talk too long, but I realized as I was getting up here tonight, taking off my coat, that this shirt, which is kind of wrinkled and all that, and looks kind of like a hot day and all that, the reason it's wrinkled is it's 10 years old. This is the shirt I was wearing when I gave the Scream speech in Iowa. So we're going to Brooklyn, and then we're going to the Bronx, and then we're going to Staten Island, and then we're going to go to Manhattan, and all the way to Gracie Mansion. Yeah! All right, take that, Dave Chappelle. So, we're going to have a lot of fun. The last time I came to Brooklyn on a political motive, it wasn't as much fun as this. I endorsed somebody in a race, and because they were a NYC candidate, but Jerry Nadler, who supported me for president, called me up and had another progressive guy in the race. So then I had to end up endorsing them both, which I think is one of the worst things you could possibly do. I hate people who do that because I hate it when you play both ends against the middle. But that's kind of what you have to do to save your honor in a case like this. But this is an easy one, because you don't have to play both ends against the middle. I don't know how many of you saw the piece in, I think it was New York Magazine or the New Yorker, that said that Bill de Blasio has the only really cogent understanding and plan to deal with what I think is one of the two biggest problems in the United States of America, which is the increasing gap between the wealthy and the poor. We have to deal with that, and there's nothing progressive about that. That's a matter of, the folks at the top who are, hang around with the mayor and have lots of dough and all that kind of stuff. What they fundamentally don't understand is that Oliver Wendell Holmes once said that paying taxes is the price we pay for living in a civil society. A decent standard of living for ordinary people who are willing to work hard is something that everybody benefits by. Not just the people who are trying to work and trying to make it, but also the people at the top. It leads to a stable society. And we are endangering our country, not just because there are terrorists out there and all this kind of stuff. We're endangering our country because we aren't making sure that people have a reason to believe in the system. And the greater that gap between the top and the bottom gets, the bigger problem that we have maintaining a country where people believe that they can succeed. And when large enough people believe that they can't succeed and the system doesn't work for them anymore, then the whole country's got trouble. Bill de Blasio is one of the few people in politics who I know who gets that. The other reason I'm here is because, I think there are a lot of things that Mike Bloomberg's done that are fine. But I also think there's some things that fundamentally bother me very deeply. One is what do they call it, strip and search or whatever it is. Right. Stop and frisk and then strip you when you get to the police station, right? I don't.
Terminologies are important.
There is such a thing as the Fourth Amendment, and I think when we start ignoring, and there's also such a thing as a right to vote, which fortunately we haven't had problems with here, but we are in North Carolina and Texas and places like that, and somebody's got to stand up for that. And one of the things I appreciate Charmaine saying was that I was willing to take on my own party. When our guys were voting for go to war in Iraq and to cut taxes without cutting spending and put the budget out of balance, I was happy to stand up. Because this is not about the Democratic Party. This is about this city. This is an extraordinary place. And it's become even more extraordinary since I left. Not because I left, of course. But, I haven't been in this section of Brooklyn for a long time. The last time I was, believe me, it didn't look anything like this. This whole city is becoming revitalized. But there are people being pushed to the corners in East New York and places like that which haven't had much revitalization and do have a lot of problems. And this business of 0 to 3, you can't fix the school system by blaming the teachers for everything. You fix the school system by making sure that, the first goal when George H.W. Bush's thing, he's had these 6 goals for education. The first one is that every child has to arrive at school ready to learn. We never got to that goal. You don't get to that goal, you don't get to the next 5. And it would be great to have a mayor who really understood that. It's not about chopping up at the school system and blaming the teachers and all this kind of stuff. It's about making sure that kids who, no matter what circumstances they're born into, have not just the government, but the society behind them that's willing to uplift the parents and help them be the kind of parents they want to be. And that will get you kids by the time they're 3 years old who are able to compete when they get to school. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done here. And I just want to close out by saying one of the reasons that I decided to endorse in the mayor's race after being burned in the city council race. Should have learned my lesson to stay out of New York politics. But I wanted to endorse Bill because I think integrity matters a lot. And this is a tough city to do politics in. It really is. As you know, they have practically every ethnic group and every language in the world spoken here. And it's a tough place. And people are tough and people expect a lot and it's a hard audience. And you've got to remind every New Yorker that somebody's got to buy retail, but it's not going to be them, right? So, but I think the important thing if you're governing a tough place and you're going to get paid for making a lot of really tough decisions, is not that those decisions are going to go your way all the time. They aren't. You've got to have somebody who you trust, who you believe is an honest person who did the best they could to make that decision and did his best or her best in this case, in other cases, but it won't be because Bill's going to win. You've got to have somebody. You've got to have somebody who you respect because they're honest and because they're willing to make the tough decisions. Now, I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do to get this man elected. You know what the polls say, and I know what the polls say. I'll tell you what the polls mean, though. There's one candidate who's around 36 or 8% because of name recognition. He has 100% name recognition. He's not going much higher than that. I mean, everybody knows what the deal is, right? So that's one candidate. You've got another candidate that is a nice person. There's not anybody I dislike in this race, at least on our side. We won't go there. But there's going to be a runoff. And Anthony Weiner's going to be in that runoff. And he's going to lose that runoff. So what this is a race to see who gets in the runoff with Anthony. That's how it's going to work. And I think Bill de Blasio is a person who's got integrity, who's got vision, who's got coherence, and is basically fundamentally respectful. I don't know how many of you all saw the poll that was here, I forgot who did it, which showed that what people really want after 12 years of a smart mayor is an empathetic mayor, who gets it and is willing to stand up for his principles. And that person is with us here tonight. So this matters. We need you. Tracy's here, and where is Tracy? Right over here. She's going to be doing a whole lot of canvassing on the west side, and I know DFA NYC is going to be out there, and there's a lot of other groups that are going to be out there. We need your help. I really appreciate that you've come and you've given us some money. I hope you'll drop an extra $10 on your way out the door. I'm not kidding about that. It's an extra pizza, but it's worth it to have a mayor like this. But that's not enough, because this isn't just going to be won by television. I guarantee you that. And it's not even going to be just won by the internet. It's going to be won by connecting the personal connections that all of you can make on behalf of Bill with the stuff on the internet. The electronic media has been exaggerated. It's important, and you can't do this without electronic media, but you cannot ever give up the most important, persuasive interaction that you can have. It's not on television, and it's not on the internet. It's a person-to-person visit, hopefully more than one by the same person. That interpersonal connection is what's going to get people out to vote. And an election like this with a very low turnout and smart people who pay attention are going to be doing that voting. We have to have you here. There's a lot of people here. I think there's 150 people here tonight. If each of you knocks on only 10 or 12 doors, that's 1,000 votes. So we get, and you can do more than that, and you can spread the word. So we're going to work really hard for this, because Bill's worth working really hard for. And it's my privilege and my pleasure to introduce to you the next mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio.